Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So how to list your Etsy products the right way is something that so many people have asked me about to do a video on my channel. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to actually get into this. I always talk about getting to 100 listings and listing one a day and so on. There's more to it than that. So let's get into this and I'll get you to understand how to build and grow your store on Etsy correctly. So the first thing I want to tell you is a little story. A client came to me a couple of years ago and he said, Nick, my Etsy store, it's not selling. What do I do? I said, send me your Etsy shop name. Let me have a look at your store so I can put your store through my audit system. And as soon as I saw the store, my mouth dropped. He had 700 items in his store. I said, how long have you been open? And he said, 2 weeks. I said, well, that's your problem. He said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, you can't bounce 700 items over from a Shopify website into your Etsy store and expect Etsy to respond. It won't. The store is already dead. It's finished. You're going to need to open a new store and start all over again. He said, why? I can list how I want. I said, no, you can't. Every time you list a product on Etsy, Etsy gives it a little boost to see what the marketplace thinks, what the shoppers think. Do they want to look at it? Do they want to buy it? I said, what you've done is you've put 700 items into your store all at once. So they've all had the little boost and now they're all dying because no one's purchasing anything. And your visibility is literally trailing off. I said, how many views do you get a day? He was like 3, 4, 5. I said, yeah, on 700 items. If those 700 items have been listed correctly, your views should be way, way higher. 200, 300, 400 views a day. So fortunately, he listened to me and we started the store again correctly and the store started to function correctly. So that's the first thing I want you to understand. There has to be a process that you use in your store that Etsy will respond to. And Etsy responds to constant, consistent, daily activity. This is so important. Now, let's get on to the second thing that I want to tell you about listings. And you can check this for yourself. So if you own an Etsy store, you've made some sales, go and look at this, what I'm going to tell you now. The second thing you've got to know, traffic into your Etsy store is directly correlated to the sales you make. Go into one of your listings that has made some sales. Choose all time to show all history for that listing. Look when the sales are made, look at the traffic. When the sales come in, your traffic goes up. When there's no sales, it goes down. The two are directly correlated. You've got to make sales on the traffic you're getting. So it doesn't matter if the item's getting 50 visits a day. If it's not selling, it's no good in your store. It's just not going to contribute. So just make sure you understand the correlation between traffic and sales. You'll see it. Go and look now in your shop manager. You'll see what I'm saying immediately. So with those 2 points out of the way, let's get into how to list correctly on Etsy. Okay, I've got 3 things to say about listing on Etsy. The first point is, and you've heard me mention this before, but I'm going to go into more detail today, is a listing plan. So you've got to be able to commit to getting to 100 items on Etsy. This proves viability for your Etsy store and what you sell. You're not going to sell anything at 10 items, 15, 20. It's just not going to happen. Start to get to 40, 50, 60, 70 and beyond. And then Etsy starts to pay attention. You'll have listings getting traffic here, there. A sale will pop off here. One will pop off there. It's to prove viability. So when you get to 100 items, you've got to do it slowly and steadily. Even now, after I've been telling you guys this, ever since I opened my YouTube channel, I still get people in the comments saying, oh, I've done 5 a day, I've done 10 a day. No, that's not going to work. It's 1 a day as a general guide. It doesn't mean if you want to do 2 some days, so yeah, you can. I'm just saying general solid guide that Etsy is going to respond to. Just list 1 a day. So 1, 2, 3, 4, every day, day in, day out. Now, let me tell you, when you get to 100 listings, you should have made some sales. Okay. If you get to 100, you've made no sales. there is problems in your store with your designs and your products. You've got to go and look at that. If you've made 4 sales, 5 sales, 7, 8, 10, fantastic. That's fantastic. Don't expect miracles. Miracles aren't going to happen when you open your Etsy store. That's good. You've proven viability. So when you list, now this is the bit that I want to give you today. When you commit to 100 listing plans, so if you're a new Etsy store owner, a growing Etsy store owner, when you commit to the listing plan, don't just go and get 100 products ready and then just push them into your store. That's suicide. That's such a bad idea because you don't know what the public, what the customers are going to buy. So do your listing plan in sets of 10 or sets of 20. 10's better actually. Sets of 10. So if you're doing digital designs, for example, and you do 10 nautical themed designs, design the 10, bring them over to publishing, and push 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. That's 10 days of listings that you put into your store. Whilst doing those 10, you get the next 10 ready. See? It's a production line. Etsy sees, it's like a duck across water. Etsy sees the top of the duck, smooth and consistent. You underneath with your legs paddling, that's your work. Okay? So whilst you're designing your listing, and this, you do this for 2 reasons. One, as I said, for consistency and constancy. Consistency. 2 is that you get time over on the design side or on the product side to start to react to what's working. So as you list blocks of 10 listings, 20, 30, 40, when you start to get to 40, 50, 60, things will start to happen in your store. You might make a sale here, a sale there. The views on items will be higher on some than others. You're getting information directly from the marketplace about what works. You take that basic common sense information and move it to design. And you start to design and produce more items that people are buying and looking at. Very common concept, but so many people miss this. So, getting to 100 items, it proves viability, and you do it in sets or stages. Don't just go and design or produce 100 products. That's not a good idea. So I hope that makes sense. Let's get on to number 2. Okay, point 2 in listing for Etsy and doing it right is price. Now, I don't mind what price you charge for your items. Remember, the advice I'm giving you is for everybody on YouTube. So this is general, solid, quality advice. I don't mind what price you charge for your items. You have to make sure, however, amongst whatever prices you want to charge, for example, if you sell art and you want to sell a $200 piece of art, yeah, no problem. But please remember where the buyers are spending on the pricing spectrum. Etsy is a sub $100 marketplace, and it is a sub $50 marketplace. When the big sales go off, don't take my word for it, go and look at loads of stores on Etsy. There are stores that have got 10,000 sales, 50,000 sales, 100,000 sales. Look at the prices. They're almost always between $10 and $50. And what I want you to do is focus heavily in that price range, as well as prices that are higher, and focus especially around $20, $25, and $30. This is impulse purchasing. There's no thinking required. The price point is good for a lot of products for you to get a margin, a profit margin on your products, and the customers are buying heavily at these price points. So please remember that about price. It's so important, $10 to $50. Let's get on to point 3. Okay, point 3 in this listing guide for Etsy is consistency and efficiency. Your number one problem, and I say this to all clients that I work with, your number one problem, if you do this right, is design of items and products. If it's digital, your number one problem is design. If it's physical products, your number one problem is designing and building and manufacturing those products, because you have to keep your store fresh, moving, and merchandised. So think when you go into a store, into a bricks and mortar store, into a department store, they are constantly thinking, what are we going to do next? What are we going to show our customers next? What varieties, what products, what colors, what shapes, what sizes? It's identical in an Etsy store. You've got to be efficient and consistent in your listing and management of your products. Customers don't want to see the same old stuff. 2-3 years in your store. In an Etsy store, a year is an eternity. It's an absolute eternity. And I see people with products in their store, they've been in there 5 years. And remember what I said, traffic to your listings is directly related to sales. These haven't sold for 4 years. You look at the graph of the traffic and it's like that. It's just sliding away. And the more listings you've got in your store sliding away like this, the less money you're going to make, the less sales you're going to make. So you have to have economies of scale in your Etsy store. You've got to become more efficient, more lean in your design and manufacturing process, because you've got to get your store to 100 items. And then when you're at 100 items, probably go beyond it. You don't stop at 100 items. I just say 100 items as a general guide for viability and proof that your business makes money. I don't want you to stop at 100 items. Who knows where you're going to stop? I don't know, but it's probably going to be higher than 100 items. Well, once you go beyond 100 items, you've got to have a consistent and efficient manufacturing and or design process. So if you need pieces of equipment, you need to invest in yourself. These are the steps you've got to take to move yourself up and away from other Etsy sellers. It's not about doing the minimum or the quickest way to get by. No, you've got to put decent effort into efficiency and scaling your business. That is the number one problem you will have to solve long term. Be it more hours for yourself to do your store, you bring on staff to help you, you bring on designers or an asset to help you produce items and manage them. These are the thoughts you need to be thinking about as you build and grow your store and you start to see results. Make everything more efficient. The more efficient you make your store, the more money you're going to make. It's as simple as that. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this informative guide on how to list correctly and a bit more detail into the process of listing. Let me know in the comments, as always, what you thought about this video. As you know, I answer every comment, nothing's left out, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. See you.